Welcome back to our channel 217 Prince YT. Some people standing in a hallway discussing the situation of the Red Gate and the increase in the number of other high-level gates in the country. They talk about how, due to the current situation in Japan, all the major guilds were called for a meeting to discuss their next move, as they have lost the manpower to tackle this situation after the loss of 7 of their S-rank hunters, including Goto Ruji, in the Jeju Island raid. As they were talking, they saw the remaining S-rank members of the Draw Sword Guild making their way to the conference room. Seeing them, they comment on how Matsumoto, the association's president, was on his last straw after losing Goto Ruji, adding that they had a monopoly over all the S-rank hunters, so it's nice to see them suffer a little. They add that with the little power the guild had left, in the near future, they will lose their title as the top guild in Japan. Sugimoto, overhearing their conversation, stops and gives the men a death stare, scaring them off. After the men leave, Minoru tells Sugimoto they weren't being this cocky in the past, but now that Mr. Goto isn't here, they're starting to rise up again. Kane informs Sugimoto about the rumor that the Black Hole Guild and Snowy Mountains Guild were planning on merging together, and the combined number of S-rank hunters in those guilds is 4, the same as them. Hearing that, Sugimoto tells them there is no need to worry. They can't take their title as Japan's top guild. Even though they have S-rank hunters, they are still weak and lack the power, calling them laughable. Fast forward. We see a man angrily screaming at the people present in the room, asking them to explain themselves as to why the Hunters Association is not responding to the S-rank gate that appeared in the middle of Tokyo. He asks them if they still have not come up with a plan to take care of the situation and wonders what will happen if there is a dungeon break. Matsumoto Shigeo, the chairman of the Japanese Hunters Association, explains to the people present in the room that the S-rank hunters do not have the ability to defeat an S-rank dungeon unless they call on the national rank hunters. Another man tells them not to ask such obvious questions, as they witnessed how powerful the monsters in an S-rank dungeon are during the Jeju Island raid, when they lost most of their S-rank hunters, including someone who was said to be close to a national rank hunter. He informs them that the results might be similar if they attempt to clear another S-rank gate without the help of national rank hunters. Another man suggests that instead of wasting time, they should contact Thomas Andre for help, but they were informed that their country lacks the funding to hire someone like Thomas. Also, due to the drastic increase in the number of gates, every country was hiring mercenary hunters from overseas, so they couldn't ask for help from any other country either. As the men discuss how they're going to tackle this issue, Sugimoto tells them there is someone who might be willing to help if they pay him well enough. A person known as the barrier expert, Yuri Orlof. The scene shifts to Jinwoo, who is getting out of his car and going towards his guild office. As he does that, he thinks, I can't believe I'm level 101 now. At level 100, I received the key to the Cartonon Temple, and at level 101, all of my job-specific skills leveled up. I can't wait to see what happens at level 102 as he gets out of the car. He notices someone. He looks at the person, and it is Hunter Cha. Seeing Jinwoo, she quickly starts to walk away. But Jinwoo appears right next to her, asking, why did you start running after seeing me? If you were going to run, then why did you even bother coming to my office? While Cha was trying to explain something to him, stumbling, she pointed at a location, saying her car was still in the parking lot. Seeing this, Jinwoo understands that she couldn't take her car last time since they used Shadow Exchange to teleport to the gymnasium. Hunter Cha asks him if he can make some time for her. Jinwoo asks her what she wants to talk about, and in her mind, she starts to think about the picture she saw of him with Soo-hyun and wants to ask him why he chose Soo-hyun over her, as she was an S-rank and wanted to confirm if they were dating. But, suppressing her feelings, she tells him, Hunter Min asked me to give you a message, saying it was about his power. That piqued Jinwoo's interest, as he was trying to find answers about that too. He stops her, saying, let's continue our talk somewhere private. Fast forward. We see them in the office, and Cha asks him why the place is empty, to which Jinwoo tells her that the Vice Master said he would stay behind at the dungeon site. Hearing that, she gets excited that she is alone with him. Jinwoo asks her how it happened that Hunter Min left a message about him with her. She starts to explain what she saw in the vision while she was unconscious on Jeju Island. She tells him she was drifting away in the darkness when a hand reached out to pull her out of that place. She saw it was Hunter Min, who was telling her that his powers were too strong and incredibly scary. He needed to know this as well and was telling her about the real army of Jinwoo, but he disappeared before he could tell her everything. After a while, we see Jinwoo sitting in a dungeon, thinking about what Cha told him, and he thinks, true or not, I also need to find out the source of my power, and this is more important than getting stronger. We see Jinho sitting next to him, telling him that the summons can move by themselves, so why do they have to come with them? Why not let them do the work while we do other things? Jinwoo explains that the farther away he is from a summon, the less experience he gains. Also, he can't be sure what those idiots would do when he's not watching them. Jinho asks him about his sister and how she is doing after going through a dungeon break at her school. Jinwoo tells him she is fine, but the doctor suggests she should relax for a bit. So he leaves his most trustworthy guards next to her so he doesn't have to worry too much about her safety. He decides to check up on her. He uses his shadow sense, which allows him to share the vision of his soldiers. But as he sees through Beiru's eyes, he sees that Beiru is watching television while Jaina is sleeping on the couch. After seeing this, Jinwoo thinks, I should have known, and wonders if that is the kind of TV show Beiru likes. He decides to check up on the other soldiers and sees his mother shopping for groceries and Hunter Beck and Choi arguing, like always. After that, he decides to check up on Hunter Cha and sees her in the shower, taking a bath. Surprised at seeing that, he stops using his ability, while Jinho asks him if he has fallen asleep. But Jinwoo was lost in his thoughts and thought, I better apologize one of these days, and wondered if he needed to buy her lunch. Meanwhile, Jinho was telling him about the S-rank gate that appeared in the city of Shinjuku in Japan, adding that there were not even 3 days left until a dungeon break, so the officials of Japan were gathering hunters from everywhere. He asks Jinwoo if they contacted him. Jinwoo tells him they did, but there is a more pressing matter, so he's thinking about it. As they were talking, the dungeon started to rumble, and they started to leave. Back in Japan, we see Yuri Orlof, a national rank hunter, introducing himself as the greatest support-type hunter to Sugimoto. He tells Sugimoto, I read the report sent over by the Shortsword Guild. It was a good choice to evacuate the citizens, and, mocking them, asks if it was true that, due to the lack of manpower, Japan could only send 6 S-rank hunters. Sugimoto tells him yes, because in order to take care of all the A-level gates that appeared in Japan, they needed at least 1 S-rank hunter to remain per guild, telling him that their guild will also leave 1 S-rank hunter behind, and the 3 of them will come help in the dungeon. Yuri Orlof, after hearing that, tells him, that is, pathetic. How could you protect your country this way? He tells him, 3.6 billion yearly, 10 million daily. Hire me, and I will hold back the gate as long as you want. Sugimoto was shocked to hear the numbers, asking if he was seriously going to charge $10 million a day. Yuri Orlof told him they could save their country for $3.6 billion a year, reminding him of the $36 trillion that Thomas was asking for, saying, compared to that, I'm rather cheap. Minoru asks Kane, who can speak Russian, what the drunk said. Kane tells him, I'm not sure, but I'm certain that it is not good. Yuri Orlof asks them if they would rather save their country or try to save money. He tells Sugimoto that he is a far better choice compared to the losers standing behind him. Minoru asks if he is insulting them, and Kane tells him, I didn't understand what he said, but the meaning came through clearly. Suddenly, they get surrounded by some sort of barrier. It was Yuri Orlof who was telling them, you won't be able to move an inch from there without my permission. While struggling, Minoru thinks, how did he manage to restrain our movement even though we are S-rank? With a grin on his face, he tells Sugimoto, I'll stop that S-rank gate of yours, and I'll even let them off free of charge. How about that? I think you should be satisfied now. Sugimoto, seeing no other option, tells him he has confirmed his abilities and that he needs to make a call first. Back in Korea, we see Jinwoo getting ready to go to the double dungeon. As he is preparing, his mother tells him, your mother doesn't have to worry about anything, right? Jinwoo tells her not to worry, as he just has an appointment. After the timer was up, the key revealed the location of the gate. It was in Jaina's school. As Jinwoo arrived at the location, he saw Hunter Association agents standing outside the gate. He approached them and asked, how long has it been since this gate appeared? The person tells him, 3 days. They informed Jinwoo that it was only a C-rank gate, and a Hunter assault squad entered there about 2 hours ago. Jinwoo tells them they must call them all back, as the assault squad is in danger. Otherwise, they will die. He starts to enter the gate, saying, "I'll return with the assault squad." Meanwhile, the assault squad was making their way inside the dungeon. They stopped in front of the boss room as the door was locked. They tried everything, but the door wasn't opening, even with magic. As they were discussing what to do, they heard someone from the back telling them, "It's a trap." Scared, they turn back and see it was Jinwoo. They ask him who he was and what he was doing in this dungeon. Jinwoo tells them he is a survivor of the double dungeon. One of the members of the assault squad recognizes him, asking if he is the new S-rank hunter of Korea. Jinwoo tells them this is an extremely dangerous place and asks them to leave, as he will take it from there. He approaches the door and notices that it isn't opening. He sees a notification telling him that the gate to the Carthian temple is currently locked. Please insert the key. He brings out the key, thinking this is quite different from before. Seeing the door opening, the hunters wonder how he managed to open the door when it wasn't budging for them. One of them informs Jinwoo that this dungeon was bought by the Dragon Guild and was their property, so he doesn't have the right to tell them to leave. After hearing that, the other hunters also say the same thing. Jinwoo tells them he won't stop them. Anyone who wishes to enter through this gate, please feel free. Hearing that, one of the hunters starts to enter the dungeon, and Jinwoo sees a notification saying, "The individual who does not possess the key to the temple has entered. Access denied." All of a sudden, a statue comes to life and swings its sword at the approaching hunter. Just as the sword is about to land, Jinwoo grabs the hunter from the back and pulls him out of the room. He tells them all the monsters in this dungeon are like that and asks if they still want to enter. As he starts to enter the dungeon, he instructs the hunters to leave this place and contact the association, telling them that a double dungeon has appeared. He starts to enter the boss room, and after he enters, the doors close behind him, preventing anyone else from entering. As he makes his way inside the dungeon, all the lanterns in the room start to light up, and he sees many stone statues placed inside. On the side, there was a statue with wings that had a stone slab in its hands with writing on it. As he enters, he sees an entity sitting in between all the stone statues. As Jinwoo approaches it, he says, "It all began here. I've returned, but it's different now. I can clearly feel it through my bones." Looking at the statues, he says, "These things aren't monsters nor are they living beings. They're merely puppets of someone or something." He says there is only one thing that emits magic in this room, and approaching it, he asks, "Won't you say anything? Why don't you answer me?" We see him standing in front of the statue with wings, and hearing Jinwoo, the statue comes to life, saying, "At last, you have arrived." The story shifts to Japan, where Yuri Orlof has just landed at the airport. As he gets swarmed by the press, they ask him how he was planning on blocking off the gate. He tells them that he will be using the same strategy he used every time, drawing a huge magic circle around the gate and pouring his mana into it, preventing everything inside from getting out. They ask him if he is capable of blocking off an S-rank gate all by himself, as the public isn't quite on board with the idea. He tells them it's impossible for him to sustain a barrier on his own, but his magic circle can draw mana from its surroundings. So if large quantities of mana crystals are set up around Tokyo, his magic circle will absorb their mana. Once the barrier is up and running, it will slowly transform into a sturdy wall by sucking up more mana. After explaining the plan, he turns toward the camera, saying, "I'm going to save your lives, so just make sure you remember that." Chairman Go-Gun, he was watching his interview and commented, "I'm not sure if he's capable of blocking off an S-rank gate, but I'm sure of what will happen if he fails." He asks Woo, "What is Hunter Sung Jinwoo up to these days?" Woo informs him that he's currently raiding gates in Seoul, adding that the Ajin Guild has requested entry permits for all the gates marked on that list. He tells the chairman, however, because they spawned in districts managed by the White Tiger Guild, Hunters Guild, and Fiend Guild, there could be some friction. The chairman asks Woo if the Ajin Guild said anything else. Woo tells him they asked if they could take care of the nearby gates for the next week due to unspecified reasons. Hearing that, the chairman gives them permission. After the briefing, Woo excused himself, saying he was receiving a call. After picking up the call, the person informs him that they just received a report of another gate appearing in the school that was recently attacked by a group of orcs. Woo asks him if it is serious, and the man tells him it doesn't seem serious, but a double dungeon is discovered inside. He goes on to say that there was another thing. Hunter Jinwoo had entered the double dungeon. We see Jinwoo standing in front of the statue that had started to move. The creature breaks the stone slab, saying, "I see you have finally made it this far." Seeing this, Jinwoo asks the thing if it is okay to destroy that stone slab and asks if he was the one who called him here. The creature tells him yes, and Jinwoo asks if he is a monster. The creature replies that he was asking the wrong questions. Instead of asking who he was, he should ask about the identity of himself. He tells Jinwoo that now the final test will begin. If you are still standing on your feet by the end of it, I will tell you everything. That will be my reward to you. Jinwoo sees all the stone statues approaching him. Seeing that, Jinwoo starts to summon his soldiers, but the creature snaps his fingers, saying that won't do. This is a test, so cheating is not allowed. You are the only one I wish to assess. I don't care about your servant's abilities. Jinwoo sees a notification telling him, "You are no longer authorized to purchase potions or other items from the shop. You are also not allowed to use quest rewards or level up rewards from status recovery. You may not leave this room until the final test has been completed." Seeing this, Jinwoo tells the thing, "So this is how it's gonna be. I didn't think all the cards in my hand would end up being useless." He sees a creature swinging its weapon towards him, and Jinwoo thinks, "I can still use my inventory. In that case, I'll defeat everyone with just my strength." Before the attack lands, Jinwoo grabs the sword and, using his strength, breaks the weapon in two. He takes the broken piece of the weapon and throws it at the creature's face, but that isn't enough to finish it off, as it starts to pull out the broken piece from its head. But before it can do that, Jinwoo jumps towards it and kicks the weapon even deeper inside its face. Seeing this, the rest of the creatures start to attack Jinwoo, but he is too fast for them. He starts to dodge all the incoming strikes and leaps in the air. Before the creatures could react, he stabs one of them in its head, taking it out of the fight. He notices another creature in the distance that has launched an arrow towards him. Seeing this, Jinwoo uses his daggers and slices the arrow in two, and kicks one of the pieces back at the creature, destroying its face in the process. As he takes out more of the creatures, he thinks, "I've been waiting for this moment. Not just that, I was living for this moment." Seeing Jinwoo take out all those creatures, the entity is impressed. It tells Jinwoo, "You have achieved so much with the body of a human. I am truly impressed." We see the thing hovering in the air, observing the fight. As the battle drags on, Jinwoo thinks, "These statues looked like they were teleporting before, but now I can see their movements. Each and every one of them is strong, but I can do this." The entity tells Jinwoo, "Truly impressive growth, but it's still too early for this test to end." Jinwoo hears rumbling in the room. As he looks back, he sees a gigantic statue walking toward him. The creature towers even over the monster that he is currently fighting, and upon seeing Jinwoo, the entity starts to smirk. The scene shifts to the chairman's office, where he is in a meeting with some people. A person hands him some documents, saying, "This contract stipulates that we will give up the right to all the essence stones on Jeju Island." It was the chairman of the Japanese Association, Matsumoto Shigeo. He tells Chairman Go-Gun-hee that the reason for this is that they would like to hire Hunter Jinwoo. Hearing that, the chairman tells Matsumoto Shigeo that Jinwoo is not an affiliate of the Hunters Association. Chairman Matsumoto replies that they are aware of that, and what they want in return from the Korean Association is to arrange a meeting with him, as they have not been able to contact Hunter Jinwoo on their own. Hearing that, the chairman thinks, "I can't believe they are willing to give up such a huge amount of money just for a chance to talk to him," and wonders if it is because they don't have the power to block off the S-rank gate that recently spawned in Tokyo now that Go-To is gone. After thinking everything over, the chairman puts the documents back on the table, saying, "I'd like to discuss this matter without the interpreters." Hearing him speak Japanese, Matsumoto is surprised, and the chairman tells him, "My father ran a small business in Japan when I was young." After the translators leave the room, Chairman Go-Gun-hee tells Chairman Matsumoto, "If this is another one of your crafty tricks, I suggest you stop now." Hearing that, the man asks, "What do you mean by that?" The chairman tells him that he has heard rumors that the Blade Guild has cut ties with him. Upon hearing that, Matsumoto springs up in shock, asking how he knows about that. The chairman explains that it was pretty obvious. He could tell something was up when the Blade Guild rejected funding from the Japanese Hunters Association and only accepted government subsidies. The Blade Guild used to be the backbone of the Japanese Hunters Association. Because of Go-To, you were able to rally all the S rank when you needed to, but not anymore. There's probably a power struggle now that the Blade Guild has fallen apart, and the association must be failing to control the situation. If this gate isn't properly blocked off, you'll have to take full responsibility, Chairman Matsumoto. Chairman Go-Gun, he starts to take out a device, saying, though he had malicious intentions, Go-To was a hunter who represented Japan. So everything that was going on in Japan, the death of Hunter Go-To, the downfall of the Blade Guild, the mismanaged conflicts between the Japanese guilds, and the sacrifices that were made because of your crafty play, everything will be falling on your shoulders. After hearing everything, Matsumoto asks the chairman, "What is this thing?" He tells him that this is a camera that was connected to your receiver. It belonged to Go-To's team. Furious, the chairman asks him, "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? This is hardly the time for you to be negotiating with mana crystals. If this information becomes public, the people of Japan will have to deal with the consequences of your crooked schemes." He crushes the device with such force that even the table disintegrates. He tells Matsumoto, "I'm not cold-hearted enough to do something so cruel. I would not want an entire country and all of Asia to be plunged into a crisis because of one man's ploy," adding, "You'll have to thank Hunter Jinwoo for this one." We see Jinwoo, who is taking out all the stone creatures in the double dungeon. After taking out many of the creatures, he notices that they just keep coming. While fighting, Jinwoo notices something. He sees the large statue in the back whose eyes are glowing, and he figures out that it is preparing for an attack. He thinks it's too late to dodge that attack, and using the commander's touch, he lifts some of the creatures into the air. As the creature from the back attacks, Jinwoo creates a shield in front of himself using the smaller soldiers, but the intensity of the attack is so high that it disintegrates the soldiers and goes through them. In the nick of time, Jinwoo manages to dodge it. Seeing how powerful the attack was, Jinwoo thinks, "I won't be able to survive a direct hit even at my current level," and decides to get rid of the larger creature first. Using his speed, he starts to run toward the creature. Seeing him approaching, the creature starts to lift up its foot, intending to crush Jinwoo. As the creature slams its foot back to the ground, it creates a huge crater. Seeing this, the creature smirks, thinking it has managed to take out Jinwoo, but to its shock, it sees Jinwoo still coming toward it. Seizing an opportunity, the creature starts to charge up another attack. Seeing this, Jinwoo decides to combine his speed with the Dominator Authority skill, thinking that will allow him to go straight for its blind spot. Combining his skills, he pulls himself toward the creature's shoulder, dodging the laser in the process. As he does that, he notices the gravitational pull has gotten incredibly strong, and he has only used a fraction of his mana, but it still works on a target this large. Thinking the upgrade made a huge difference, seeing an opportunity, Jinwoo prepares to attack and uses the skill Mutilation, hitting the creature directly in the face. However, he is shocked to see that the Demon King's daggers, which can usually slice through anything, only manage to scratch this creature. Seeing this, Jinwoo decides to use brute force and prepares to target the crevice. He grabs onto the creature and, using his super strength, strikes the creature in the face. The attack is very effective, as the creature starts to panic. After seeing this, the first creature says, "I never thought he'd use that kind of attack against my marvelous creation." Meanwhile, Jinwoo is continuously punching the thing. He puts all his power into one last punch, saying, "I'll show you what it really means to be level 103, and strikes the creature so hard that it falls to the ground. After taking care of it, Jinwoo jumps down between all the smaller monsters. Seeing this, they start to attack, but using Dominator's authority, he slams all of them to the ground. After taking care of all the creatures in the room, he starts to walk up to the one that was hovering over him. As he does, the creature applauds him, saying, "That was impressive." Jinwoo reminds it of the promise he made to answer all of his questions. Hearing that, the creature tells him that the test isn't over yet, as he is still alive. Jinwoo sees an urgent quest stating that his heart will stop beating if he fails to defeat the enemy in the allotted amount of time, which is 10 minutes. The creature tells him, I am your final test. Jinwoo once again asks him who he is, and with a smirk on his face, the thing tells him, I am the architect of the system, and asks if he is satisfied with the answer. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, Hunter Wu arrives along with 7 elite hunters from the association. As he walks toward the gate, he thinks, I already know they're not enough to help Hunter Jinwoo. I'm just preparing for the worst-case scenario. As he approaches the gate, he senses an overwhelming amount of mana coming from it. He asks if anyone else is picking this up and stands there in horror, thinking, where is this bone-chilling aura coming from? I feel a terrifying storm of mana. He asks if there are any more major guilds nearby on standby. The hunters inform him that the Hunter Guild is on standby to raid. Wu asks about the 2 S-rank hunters if they will be participating, and the men tell him both Hunter Cha and Hunter Choi have agreed to participate. He tells the men to ask them to join in this raid as they need their cooperation while thinking, what the hell is Jinwoo up to? Back in the dungeon, the architect and Jinwoo prepare to face off. The creature turns its wings into arms and, with incredible speed, approaches Jinwoo. It punches him so hard that Jinwoo goes flying away in the distance and crashes into a wall. Not giving him any time to recover, the thing attacks him again, but Jinwoo manages to dodge the attack. As he tries to create some distance between them, Jinwoo sees more fists coming toward him, and the creature starts launching a barrage of attacks towards Jinwoo, but as he looks at him, he sees that Jinwoo managed to block all of the attacks. The thing tells Jinwoo that he is truly impressed with him, as he was exceeding his expectations. Then the creature punches Jinwoo square on the face. Thinking that it was over, the creature starts to smile, but to its shock, he sees Jinwoo coming straight towards him. Using his superhuman strength, Jinwoo punches the creature in the face with such force that it gets knocked back a couple of feet. As it recovers, it tells Jinwoo that who knew he'd have so much fun fighting against a human being? Not once in my life did I think a human could be a worthy opponent. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is looking at the thing, thinking this guy invited me here as soon as I reached level 101. He probably thought I was no match for him, but I can do this. He tells the architect, I've still got a lot of questions to ask you. Why did you construct the system? Why did you choose me as its player? And what's happening to this world right now? Hearing that, the creature leaps towards Jinwoo, saying maybe he thinks he might not get all the answers if he kills him. Seeing him coming, Jinwoo starts to create distance between them, thinking close combat puts me at a disadvantage. He uses his Dominator's authority. The creature, seeing this, asks him if he was planning on attacking from a distance, saying it's no use. Jinwoo sees a huge explosion in the room. He thinks he can use the same skills as me, which means my long-distance attacks are pointless too. The creature tells Jinwoo that it doesn't matter whether he kills him or not, because the answers he will receive are already predetermined, and calls all the weapons in the room to his hands. He explains that the answers have been predetermined since the moment he first designed everything. Hearing that, Jinwoo asks how he was able to design all this and how he was able to give him such powers. The creature tells him that he didn't choose him. In fact, he was against the idea, explaining that he is simply the architect and moderator of the player breeding system. Jinwoo looks at the time to see how long he has before his heart stops beating. He has 6 minutes left, so he thinks, I don't have time. I have to face him head-on. As he was thinking, he saw the architect in the air, who was coming straight towards him, saying, I am going to use full force for the remaining time. It struck, but Jinwoo was gone. Without wasting a breath, he ran towards Jinwoo and started to launch a flurry of attacks, but Jinwoo was dodging all of them while thinking about what was going on. How were all of his senses getting sharper? He was confident he could do this, and managed to land an attack on the thing's face. Seeing this, the architect thinks, I am using full force. How is he able to block all of my blows and then attack in response? He notices that Jinwoo is getting even faster. Jinwoo manages to chop off one of its arms. Seeing this, the creature thinks, I am inside a fake body, but I can't believe he's capable of inflicting pain on me. Looking at Jinwoo, he realizes something and wonders if that was the reason he was chosen, saying, it's only a small fraction, but it's mixed in there. He screams, you're just a mere human. How dare you? And starts to resurrect all of the defeated soldiers. Jinwoo sees that he has 3 minutes left before he loses this fight. He starts to sprint toward the creatures and, using his Dominator's authority, takes out all of the minions. The gigantic soldier throws a punch towards him, but he manages to dodge it. After closing the distance between him and the architect, he starts to attack it with inhumane speed and manages to cut off another one of its arms, but gets hit in the process and is launched back, hitting something in the back. As he turns around, he sees a familiar soldier standing behind him. Seeing him, Jinwoo gets angry. The last time they faced off, Jinwoo almost died at his hands. So as payback, Jinwoo splits its head in two by hitting it with an elbow. After that, he turns his attention toward the architect and slices the rest of its arms off. With 2 minutes left, he puts everything into his last attack, and a large explosion occurs, covering both of them. As the dust settles, we see Jinwoo standing on top of the defeated enemy. The architect tells Jinwoo that the test is over. It tells Jinwoo that the answers lie within him, and a notification pops open in front of him stating, "The data stored in your memory will be retrieved." The creature tells Jinwoo that the choice is his. Jinwoo thinks for a second and decides to accept, and the place lights up and Jinwoo gets teleported to another dimension as a spirit. Underneath him was an army of monsters. Seeing all those monsters, Jinwoo was terrified. He notices that all of the monsters are looking up towards the sky and wonders what they're looking at. He turns around and sees the sky filled with gigantic gates. Seeing this, Jinwoo realizes something. A purple sky and hordes of monsters. This can't be planet Earth. Looking at all of the monsters, he notices that the army is made up of ice elves, high orcs, goblins, giants, and many other types of monsters. He thinks if this army was to break out of the gate all at once, the human race would stand no chance against them. All of a sudden, the sky starts to shatter, and soldiers with angel-like wings start to descend from the sky. These were the Silver Soldiers. After some time, an epic battle starts between the Silver Soldiers and the monsters. The sound of clashing weapons and crushed armor fills the air, and pools of blood begin to stain the battlefield as the war cries quickly turn into screams of agony. The Silver Soldiers were powerful. They were dominating the battle. But just as the end drew near for the monsters, the Silver Soldiers suddenly came to a halt, one by one. Seeing another entity had entered the battlefield, Jinwoo was shocked to see the creature's ability, as he recognized it as the domain of the Monarch. Seeing the creature using shadow extraction on all of the dead monsters present in that realm, he recognized the entity as the Monarch of Shadows, as it created an immortal army that would never die. Seeing all the monsters getting back up, Jinwoo thinks the monsters sacrificed their lives, but death wasn't the end for them, as their blood grew dark and dense, granting them newfound strength. Looking at the number of soldiers, Jinwoo thinks that he can summon so many shadow soldiers. I can't even compare to him. After that, he saw the fallen monsters emerge from death's embrace and storm toward the Silver Soldiers. The black and silver armies became entangled in a fierce battle. Explosions erupted, and the ground shook beneath them. The Silver Soldiers should have won the battle by a landslide, but instead, another full-scale war broke out. The appearance of a single individual had turned the tide, and he saw the strength of the Shadow Monarch, who was cutting his way through countless Silver Soldiers with ease. The Monarch uses his ability to crush all the enemies that were present on his path, and Jinwoo thinks, that's the Dominator's authority. The Shadow Soldiers repeated the cycle of death and revival to wipe out their enemies. Wherever the Monarch went, a trail of destruction was left in his path. Victory seemed imminent for the Monarch of Shadows and the monsters until they showed up. The scene shifts back to the Double Dungeon, where Woo, along with Choi, and some other hunters, had arrived. Sensing the mana coming from the room, Choi asks Woo if he is sure that Jinwoo is inside. Hunter Cha thinks that this mana isn't Jinwoo's and wonders who it belongs to. As they start to enter the room, they are shocked to see what is inside. Shattered soldiers of stone spread all around the room. Seeing this, Woo says it's all true. The statues and stone soldier sculptures actually exist. As they were looking around, they heard a voice saying, "I don't recall inviting humans here." This is another unexpected surprise. Seeing this, the hunters wonder if they were hearing things, as they just heard a monster speak. The architect tells them to be silent, saying, How dare you disturb the king in his slumber? They wonder who he is talking about, and in a corner, they see Jinwoo standing. All of a sudden, some of the hunters get chopped into pieces as the architect sprints by them. He tells the rest of the hunters that you strong humans will make excellent first offerings to the king. Chapter end here. For more, like, share, and subscribe.